Hello, and welcome to the very first episode on the SerDuncan channel. My name, as you can probably guess, is SerDuncan, and as you can probably guess as well, we're going to be playing Fire Emblem 7 today. It is the first Fire Emblem game ever released in North America, and the first Fire Emblem game that I ever played. I hold a pretty special place in my heart for this game. When I first played it while in high school, I got super invested. I printed out maps, I looked up guides, I tried it over and over and over again. And the first time I played that game, I couldn't even beat it on the normal mode. I got to the final chapter and too many characters had died and I simply couldn't do it. So today I'm kind of going back to a game that I have a lot of fond memories for, and I'm going to try to beat it on hard mode, doing what's known as an Iron Man playthrough. But before I get into any of those details, since this is the first video on my channel that's video game related, I should probably introduce myself. My name is SerDuncan, named after George R.R. Martin's better fantasy series. The Hedge Knight, SerDuncan the Tall, is the main character in that series, and I've always liked that idea considering my name is Duncan, and I am in fact quite tall. 6'2" in fact, in case you were wondering. I've always wanted to make a YouTube channel to have various different kinds of content. I've always wanted to do reviews, I've always wanted to do gameplay, I've always wanted to have, well, just what I enjoy watching. And so today I thought, you know, it's 4 a.m., I'm up because I'm on my third shift schedule, and why not play a game that I've always loved and, you know, try to kickstart this series. I finally set my room up the way that I want it to be. I'm sort of gesturing, even though nobody can see what I'm doing. I don't have the best setup, of course, as you can probably tell by the audio quality, but, you know, I'm making do with what I have, and I hope that anybody who watches this series enjoys it. So as I mentioned before, I'm playing Fire Emblem 7, Reka no Ken in Japanese, which is translated in English to Fire Emblem the Blazing Sword. It was first released in, trying to think of what year. I think it was 2006. I'm probably should have been a little bit more prepared for this sort of thing, but not the best at preparing. It's kind of a unique game in the Fire Emblem series in that there's actually multiple lords that you can choose from, and even though none of these lords have gone on to star in, say, a Smash Bros. Game, or have become household names as I would say Marth or Ike or Roy have, there are three of my favorites. I really like Hector. In fact, he's probably my favorite Fire Emblem character. And I'm also partial to Lyn. Eliwood, not so much. I find that Roy is more fun to play as, even though he's noticeably worse. And I really like Roy in Smash. He's my main in Melee, despite being literally one of the worst characters in the game. So I've been rambling for quite a long time now, and you're probably wondering, hey, Duncan, what exactly is an Iron Man run? Well, an Iron Man run is fairly unique. It's actually a run in which there are no resets allowed. I know when I play my Fire Emblem games that I tend to reset quite frequently. In fact, I reset anytime any character dies, or sometimes if the wrong character kills the wrong person. I really like to have my runs sort of be, you know, I'm not the best at calculating and doing all those types of things, so I like to make sure that my runs are the best possible. Since there's really no way to efficiently do this if your lords dies, considering that each time that a lord dies, you essentially have a game over, rather than just have it be something where I could kill a lord off if a character I like dies and then just reset the chapter, or if a lord just dies because I'm not being careful with the lords, considering they're so-called expendable, I'm going to be doing something a little bit interesting. Every time that a lord dies and I have to reset a chapter, I have two rules in place. The first is that any characters who died before that lord died have to be benched, and potentially, you know, if anybody who watches this think it might be more fun, I could kill them off in a later chapter or in that same chapter, like give them no items and just throw them out into the mix. And secondly, I then have to roll. I think I'm going to roll on some sort of dice app and assign each of my remaining characters a number value. When I roll whatever number I get, that character then dies. So let's say I'm on chapter 6, for example, and Elliewood dies. I assign a number to each of my other remaining characters, roll a dice, and whichever number the dice lands on, that character must be sacked off or benched for the rest of the game. I think that way it makes it so that I can't reset a chapter if the Lord dies, if somebody I like dies. And it also gives a feeling of weight and severity to the Lord dying. I have to protect them even more than if I was doing like a full reset run. Because if they die, I could lose my best unit. I could lose my favorite unit. I could lose whoever knows. It's to the whims of chance. And as anybody who's played Fire Emblem before probably knows, Fire Emblem is all about chance. So as I said, that's probably enough ranting and raving for now. I'm going to get right into it. So, since there are 3 characters that you can play as, I'm going to give a quick explanation of each one. The first is Lynn. She sort of acts as a prologue for the game, a tutorial, so to speak, and she has 11 chapters that you play as. There's the prologue, and then the next 10 chapters, which are, I'd say, pretty easy on hard mode. They're not super difficult, so I might do multiple chapters per episode. I'm going to be playing it on hard mode, because if I didn't play it on hard mode, I feel like it wouldn't really be a hard mode. You know, it would be like, oh, I'm going to play the Iron Man, but my characters can't die until chapter 5. Even though I've played this game before and beaten it before, I'm going to try to keep spoilers to a minimum. I'm going to try to experience it as organically as possible, so that anybody who wants to watch this playthrough can watch it without fear of being spoiled. I don't know how well that's going to be, but when I'm editing these episodes, I'll try to be a little bit more, what's the word? I'll try to be frugal, or no, that's not right. I'll try to be cautious about any spoilers that I do make. After that, as much as I love Hector and he's my favorite lord, and playing as Hector is the only way to get the true ending, so to speak, I'm probably going to then move on to Elliewood hard mode. For anybody who's played this game before, you know that Hector hard mode is, like, incredibly difficult. But it's not incredibly difficult in the way that, like, Fire Emblem Awakening's Lunatic Plus is, where they give them broken abilities and incredibly inflated stats. The best thing about Hector hard mode is that it's just difficult. It requires a lot of skill and a lot of planning and a lot of forethought, something that I'm not really the best at, as I kind of explained earlier. So, like I said, doing our Fire Emblem 7 Iron Man playthrough. I'm your host, SerDuncan, and I guess we should just get started, so you can stop just listening to me and start actually enjoying some gameplay. Alright, so I'll be honest, while I do like the name Mark, and while I do wish that Mark was in the mobile game Fire Emblem Heroes, for the sake of easiness sake, I'm going to go with Duncan. Actually, you know what? That's not true. I'm going to go with my classic username and character name that I've been using for ages and ages. I could get into the story about this, but I think that's maybe a tale for a different day. It goes all the way back to when I used to write little stories in crappy books when I was just a little kid, and then when I was playing Pokemon, so I'll get into it on a different day. So you can actually change your affinity. You can see it next to the name, depending on what month I choose, it changes my affinity. But I'm not super, I'm not super familiar with the mechanics of affinity. I'm probably going to look them up once I get to episode 10, or to chapter 10, I mean, so that I can start using the supports in a meaningful way. Gosh, I just feel like I'm just sort of flinging things out there, and like, I'm sure that anybody who's watching this who's never seen Fire Emblem before is totally confused. I'm going to try to explain how everything works as we go through some of these early chapters. I'm also going to try to give voices to the characters, but I don't know how good my voices are. I'm probably going to forget them between episodes. They're probably going to be terrible, so I hope you enjoy them. Are you awake? Oh, God, you know what? I'm not going to go with the falsetto. I found you unconscious on the plains. This is our heroine, Lynn. I am Lynn, of the Lorca tribe. You're safe now. Who are you? Can you remember your name? You know, I was thinking before I did this that what if I gave her like a southern belle? You know, like a, your name's McDaniel? What an odd-sounding name. But then I realized I can't do a very good Southern accent, and I decided that it would be ridiculous to have the main character have a terribly done Southern accent the entire game. But pay me no mind, it is a good name. I see by your attire that you are a traveler. What brings you to the Sakai Plains? Would you share your story with me? What was that? I'll go see what's happening. McDaniel, wait here for me. There's a couple of settings that I haven't been able to change yet because the game just started. They're already killing me. Oh no, bandits! They must have come down from the Burn Mountains. They must be planning on raiding the local villages. I have to stop them. Oh my god, the text is just so slow sometimes. If that's all of them, I think I can handle them on my own. You could speed it up by pressing A or B, but I don't know. Sometimes I click through it a little bit too fast. You'll be safe in here, McDaniel. Thank you? Thanks. I appreciate it. What? You want to help? Well, can you use a weapon? Ah, I see. So you're a strategist by trade. An odd profession, but... Very well. We'll go together. So, our character, Mark, or McDaniel in this case, kind of is like Robin from Fire Emblem Awakening, and he sort of follows that trope of, you know, like a character with amnesia, the protagonist with amnesia. Luckily in this game, it's just sort of as a way to introduce us as a character without being overly forceful. Robin can't, McDaniel can't marry anybody. Marriage isn't even really a part of this game, like it is in later games. He's more just a vehicle for characters to explain mechanics to, which is really nice. I feel like it actually kind of immerses you a little bit better into the storyline than, say, having like a named character like Robin or Corrin from Fire Emblem Fates. I really do appreciate it. It kind of feels a little bit like there's another Fire Emblem game where you get to make a tactician sort of character who's not super involved in the plot but is always there. I think they call him Chris in the game that he's in. It's in the 12th Fire Emblem game, the sequel to Shadow Dragon that never came out in the US. I could use your advice. I'll protect you, so stay close to me. Alright, so as you can see, this is the Fire Emblem map. I love the Game Boy Advance games for how beautiful its graphics look, but I'll get to that later. What you can see right now is the main map. When I hover over a square, it'll tell me important details about each square. So this one is a plain. It's got gives me 0 defense and 0 avoid. But if I hover over a forest, it'll give me 1 defense and 20 avoid. They'll explain that in more detail later, but I just wanted to get the idea out of the way that each area on a map has different functions. What I can do is I can press the R button over each of the different characters. Lyn, the Brigand, and our boy Bada the Beast. Or Bada. Or Bada. Or Bada. I don't flippin' know. And you can see here her stats, what items she's carrying, and a couple more stats down at the bottom. Her weapon levels, and if we start supporting characters, which I won't explain for a long time, but if we start supporting characters, it would also be up here. We can also then press R again when we're on this screen to look at each individual stat, and it'll give us a little explanation. A really nice thing about this game that it has over the game that came before it, Fire Emblem the Sealed Sword, or the Sword of Seals, is that it's really good for new players. It really allows you to get a good idea of how everything works. This was in Fire Emblem 6 too, but combined with the tutorials and a couple of other interesting ways that they introduce mechanics and how the game works, makes it really easy for new players to get into it. In fact, I'd say this is probably the most newbie-friendly Fire Emblem game, to tell you the truth. So, Lyn's got a couple of stats here. She's got strength, skill, speed, luck, defense, resistance. Those are her basic 6 stats. It's like if you were to play like Dungeons and Dragons, you have 6 stats that are important to your character. Strength affects damage, skill affects how well you're able to hit things. Speed is if you can double an enemy, and luck, I think, is your critical hit, and a couple of other functions. I'll have to look it up. Defense reduces damage from weapons, and resistance reduces damage from magical weapons. Speed is also interesting because, depending on the Fire Emblem game, sometimes it's just, can I double the enemy? Sometimes it's, can I avoid enemy attacks. We also have a couple of other stats over here on the right that aren't super important right now, but movement is how many spaces you can move a turn. Con is a couple of different things. It affects how, like, what weight of items you can carry. So it's like different swords have different weights and they affect your speed. And then we've got aid, which is something for rescuing. I'll explain that a little bit later. And a couple of other things that are a little bit complicated that I won't explain now. So Lynn, a young girl from the Lorca tribe, stout-hearted, and kind. And then she's our first lord. She's pretty good overall. I think if we pull up her stats, I think I'm going to flash them on screen right here. Let me just pause for a moment. So I kind of meant to have this pulled up ahead of time, and I totally forgot. So Lynn actually has, she also has HP down here. I didn't mention that before, but I can also look up her stats. So I'm going to flash it on the screen right now. Lynn has a 70% chance to increase her HP by 1 point on level up, 40% for strength, 60% for skill, 60 for speed, 55 for luck, 20 for defense, and 30 for resistance. She's sort of meant to be like a Myrmidon class, which is a classic class in Fire Emblem that relies on dealing a lot of damage with critical hits, will almost always double an enemy unit, and so on and so forth. Died in the very first level. This is off to a great start. Well, almost makes me wonder if I should just scrap the episode now. But I'm not going to. I persevere. Let's just try that again. I forgot that this is not the tutorial level that it normally is. So, things can happen differently than they do in the tutorial. Originally, you're supposed to attack him twice. He attacks you, and then you heal yourself with the vulnerary that you have on your possession. Forgot that sometimes things don't work out in hard mode. So, instead, I'm going to use my vulnerary now to make sure that I survive this second attack. I can't believe that I died in the very first fight I encountered. It just goes to show you how little I really pay attention in this game. So as you can see over here, Bada the Beast is currently sitting on a gate tile. It gives him 2 defense and 20 avoid, and it also heals him a certain amount of HP per turn. Now, I don't know for sure if his stats have been increased because of hard mode, but I do know that hard mode actually buffs certain characters and certain enemies. It'll apply more reinforcements, give bosses a significant buff, but it also means that any recruitable characters that you have that are part of the enemy actually get buffed too, which makes some of my favorite characters incredibly powerful. So as you can see here, Bada only has a 3 speed, and that's even weighed down even further, I think, by his... No, it's not. So he's got a 3 speed, which means that when Lynn wants to go and attack him, since she has a much higher speed, she's able to double. But since he can kill us in 1 hit, I think I'm just going to chill here and retaliate instead. I just can't believe I died on the first attack. Who do you think you are? You think you can stand up against Bada the Beast? You know what, bro? I've beaten you probably 20 times before. Although, you know what? Today, I'm not feeling so hot about it. Originally in this chapter, Lynn gets a scripted crit against this guy, which makes him a lot easier to defeat. Let me tell you something. Luckily, though, it seems like we're hitting him every time. He didn't hit us on that 40% chance, which is quite lucky. Although, I mean, it's not really that lucky, but considering what happened the first time, I'm just going to consider not getting hit by the enemy at all to be incredibly lucky. What? How did you... I mean, this guy's clearly seen some battle. I mean, look at that scar on his face. I mean, unless he got that from slipping and hitting his head on the kitchen counter or something, but... I don't know, man. With a name like Bada the Beast, you'd think he'd be a little bit better. That wasn't the most amazing level up. We didn't get strength, which is something that Lynn desperately needs. she's only got 4, and most characters start with way higher than that. Well, some characters do. I know Hector, for example, starts with a lot more than that. Luckily, though, she did get a point of resistance. Right now, Lynn just does not have a lot of defenses. She's paper thin. She can double everybody for a little bit of damage, but she's really going to need that help later on. Good work, McDaniel. Let's go home. Hey, it's not my home. Don't just take me in and call me like your brother or something. Just woke up here. I've got amnesia. I don't know where I'm from. Good morning, McDaniel. Are you awake yet? Is this where we wake up and we find out that we're sleeping in the same bed? I mean, yes, but no, not really. That fight yesterday must have taken a lot out of you. Say, McDaniel, I want to ask you about something. You have some experience in the ways of war, I can see. Oh, I have quite a lot of experience in a few other areas myself. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, wiggle, wiggle. Would you allow me to travel with you? Oh, I just realized that I didn't change any of my settings. What? You want me to get permission from my parents? They're dead. I'm an orphan. You can even tell the sad music starts to play. My mother and father died 6 months ago. My people, the Lorca, they don't. I'm the last of my tribe. Oh, God. Bandits attacked and they killed so many people. The tribe was scattered. My father was our chieftain, and I wanted to protect our people. But I'm so young, and our people were old-fashioned. They wouldn't follow a woman. No one would follow me. I'm sorry. I've been alone for so long. No, no more. I will shed no more tears. Ellipses, 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 ellipses. Thank you. I'm much better now. McDaniel, I must become stronger so that I may avenge my father's death. Yesterday's battle taught me something. I won't become stronger by sitting here alone. McDaniel, tell me you'll train me, that you'll let me travel with you. You've already got a better sword arm than me. I mean, you can't see it right now, but I have scrawny arms. Well, I mean, they're pretty buff, but it's mostly fat. You will? That's wonderful. Thank you. Oh, thank you. We'll be better off working together. I know it. I barely know you. I just showed up here one day, and now I guess we're just working together, traveling together. You'll be my master strategist, and I'll be your peerless warrior. Well, at least for 10 chapters, anyway. We can do it, right? I mean, let's hope I'm a master strategist and that I don't kill everybody off immediately. But no promises, though. The apprentice tactician McDaniel and the young sword fighter Lynn. A strange pair on an even stranger journey. To prepare for the long road ahead. They go to Bulgar, the commercial center of Sakai. Unbeknownst to Lynn, she will discover something that will alter her life forever. I don't even know what kind of voice that is. I wish that I had, like, the narrator of Fairy Tail is the same guy who plays, like, Führer King Bradley and like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. By the way, I'm like a huge anime video game nerd. I watch a whole bunch of different things. I go name anything nerdy, and I'm sure I've dipped my toe in it at some point. McDaniel, over here. This is Bulgar, the biggest city in all of Sakai. We should purchase supplies for our journey. I gotta think of what I want to give to good old Sane over here. It kind of reminds me of, he's like that dashing, but like kind of goofy, like, oh my heart, what a dazzling vision of loveliness. Sort of like I kind of view him, he's kind of like a James kind of goofball. Wait, oh beauteous one, would you not favor me with your name, or better yet, your company? Where are you from, Sir Knight, that you speak so freely to a stranger? Ha! I thought you'd never ask. I am from Lycia. Everybody pronounces it differently. Some people say Lycia. I've always said Lycia. I don't know why. I'm going to stick with it until somebody tells me otherwise. I hail from the Kalen Canton, home to men of passion and fire. Shouldn't that be home to callow oafs with loose tongues? Oh, dude, you just got fucking burned. Oh, you're even lovely when you're cruel. Let's go, McDaniel. I've nothing more to say.
Wait, please.
Sane, hold your tongue. Ah, Kent, my boon companion, why so severe in expression? If your manner were more serious, I wouldn't have to be so severe. We still have a mission to complete, Sane. I know that, but how could I remain silent in the presence of such beauty? It would have been discourteous. I mean, look at all that, 128 colors, bruh. What do you know of courtesy? Excuse me, you're blocking the road. If you'd be so kind as to move your horses. Of course, my apologies. Thank you. You, at least, seem honorable enough. Pardon me, but I feel we've met before. I beg your pardon? Hey, no fair, Kent. I saw her first. I've always loved that, what's that called? Oxymoron and, onomatopoeia. Tisk, 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 tisk. I feel like I've never heard anybody make that sound in real life. I mean, have you ever heard somebody actually go tisk without being, like, sardonic or sarcastic in some way? It seems there are no decent men among Lycia's knights. Let's go, McDaniel. I've run out of patience. Jeez, it's been like 2 conversations. Wait, please. It's not like that. Sane, you lout. Huh? Not like that. I thought you were... I am not you. Ooh, God. Wow, they're really just beating up on Sane here. Come, we must follow her. I suspect she might be... Be what? She's our mission? You're joking! Wait! See, that's what I mean about characters. I don't know if my character voices sound different enough. Run! We're being pursued! Could it be those knights from town? No, it's not them. These men are out for blood.
Aren't you the pretty one? Your name is Lindis, is it not?
What did you call me? Who are you?
Such a waste. An absolute waste. The things all do for gold. Oh, well, time to die, darling.
You know, it's kind of a bit of a weird feeling to have, like, colorful sprites. You know, they're kind of anime-esque. Got these brilliant colors, and then have them talking like, oh, it's a waste. Why are they saying it's a waste? Well, because, you know, if they weren't going to kill her. Boy, oh boy, sometimes the Fire Emblem games can be a little dark with what they're hinting at without actually being dark. And especially in this game, it's sort of jarring between the colorful visuals and dark things happening. But I like it. I feel like it has a really nice tone. Oh no, there are more than I can handle. But I'll not give up. That's one of them.
Huh?
What? Finally caught up. Hold you there. What is your business? Such numbers against a girl. Cowards, every one of you. You're from? We can discuss that later. It appears these ruffians mean to do you harm. If it's the fight they want, let them look to me. Stand back. I'll take care of this. I think I'm going to switch him to my Captain Brannigan, I think, from Futurama. I've never really watched Captain Futurama, but I think that's the fight. No, this is my fight. Stay out of my way. Well, I can't just stand here and do nothing. I have a solution. You there, command us. I am Kent, a knight of Lycia. My companion is Sane. We will follow your orders in this battle. Is this acceptable, my lady? Yes, it is. McDaniel and I will lead. Let's go. So in the tutorial version of this map, there's a whole lot of different things you have to do to get to a certain point. And that's why Sane is only carrying an iron lance instead of an iron lance and an iron sword. You can see here that cavaliers, if you kind of check over here, mounted knights with superior movement. When you compare them to Lynn's only got, 5 squares she can move. Sane can move a whole heck of a lot more. 7, in fact. And the cool thing about cavaliers is that they're proficient with swords and with lances. Something I haven't mentioned yet, but that's pretty important, is that there's this thing called the weapon triangle. In battle, swords will be good against axes. They'll give themselves a bonus to damage and to the chance to hit against axes. And the weapon triangle works, and the way that it works is that axes then have those same bonuses against lances, and then lances have those same bonuses against swords. So it kind of creates this rock, paper, scissors effect that's really pretty fun. It kind of adds a little bit more strategy into the fight. I can't just go and attack this barbarian with Sane because he's wielding a lance. He's going to get subtraction to his hit chance and subtraction to his damage. I think it's 1 for damage, either added or subtracted. And you can see Kent here has a much better chance to hit simply because he's using a sword. So let's take a look at our 2 new knight friends here. We've got Kent, a knight in service to House Kalen, virtuous to a fault. He's pretty average overall. Fire Emblem has this idea of having red and green cavaliers that you always get in every game. Kent is the red one. In this game, though, they kind of switched up the formula. Rather than the red one being very powerful but struggling to hit things and not being very speedy, Kent is actually the speedy one. You can see here that he's got high speed and decently high skill, which means that he's going to be doubling people a lot and pretty much going to hit every time. Of the 2, I'd say I generally prefer Sane. I like getting the extra damage that Sane can get off, and Kent just never seems to get good level ups for me. I really don't know what it is. You can also see here, just a really quick thing, they're a horse, which means that they can't be helped by other people, and weapons that are strong against cavalry will be good against them. As we look at Sane, you can clearly see he's missing 2 points of skill, 1 point of speed, but has 2 extra points of strength. I think he also has a little bit more, yeah, he's got 1 point of defense and minus 1 point of resistance. So he's kind of a tankier version. You know, he can hit really hard. Maybe he's not going to hit every time, but he's going to be dealing a decent amount of damage every time he hits somebody. And as you can also see with Kent and Sane, they have reversed their sword levels. So Sane has E for swords and D for lances. You can go all the way up to S, but you can only have 1 S in any of the different points. And then Kent has D in swords and E in lances. So now that we kind of have a good idea... Oh wait, I also got to check what Sane is. A knight in service to House Kalen. A bit of a scoundrel. So it's kind of the sort of prim and proper knight and a scoundrel knight. I'm sure we'll learn a little bit more about why they're here and how they know Lynn later on in the storyline. The first thing I got to do is I got to see... I think that there's in the tutorial there's a way for Sane to get a free sword from Kent. I hope you can still do that in this game, but I'm not really sure if that's gonna work the way that it normally does. Alright, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna hit this guy a couple times with Lynn to whittle down his HP a little bit. Thank goodness she didn't take an extra damage from that 17% hit chance. Oh, and one of the reasons why the hit went down so much is because she's standing on a forest tile. Forest tiles give extra defense and extra avoid. So you can see over here that her avoid currently is 45. And if we look at Sane, right now his avoid is 16, and if I move him over onto this this forest tile right here, you can see that his avoid has gone up to 36. I'm going to move Kent in for the kill. I like to try to evenly distribute my experience. Some people will sometimes take, 4 or 5 characters and level them all up to really high levels, and I don't really start forming a team until around like the chapter 20 mark. So I think this is about where... I don't know if the plot's going to happen or not, but we'll see. So I'm going to change everything to fast, turn off the auto end turns and the auto cursor. I'm going to change this to the green color of Lynn's hair. So let's send Kent in for the first hit. Wait, is this guy standing on a forest tile? He is. Okay. I was going to try to take him out with Sane, but 47% hit chance is really not the best. I don't even think the two of them could team up to take him out. So he's sitting at first level. So I'm going to have Lynn hit this guy the first time. And then I think I'm going to give it over to Kent for the kill. Something that I do like to do is bosses tend to give a lot of experience, usually a full level when you kill them. So I like to either give that to a unit that I'm training up or to one of the main lords. Usually the main lords have like an effective weapon. Lynn doesn't have hers yet, but she'll get one at some point. So I do tend to like to do that as well. As far as I'm aware, this map is pretty much unchanged. I think there might be one or two differences, but overall I think it's practically the same map. Since Sane is still not doing so hot in terms of the actually being able to hit department, I'm going to move him here. I'm going to get this Barbarian a little what for. Taking a little bit of a drink because this is actually doing a little bit more to my voice than I was expecting. I probably should have warmed up ahead of time. I've got a little bit of a theater background, but I haven't done it in a while, so you know how it is. Getting pretty close to that third level. Getting Lynn stronger and stronger. Alright, let's move her up here and let's bait. Let's see. So you can click on an enemy to see how far they'll go. So I think I'm going to try to bait this guy out to hit Sane or Kent, considering that they're both still level 1. Luckily he went for Sane, who has a little bit more of a avoid chance. Not that it really mattered, because Sane's just going to miss. I get that it's lances versus axes, but still, he should have probably hit that. Right, so I think I'm going to hit this guy with Lynn first to try to whittle him down a bit. And then I'm going to kill him with Kent to get him his first level. And then I'll probably kill the boss with Lynn. You know, something that I really love about the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem games, of which there are 3. There's Fire Emblem 6, which only came out in Japan. It's called the Kent. Oh, man. I die on the first enemy, and now Kent gets only 1 stat level up in his first level. Guys, I don't think this is going to go so well. Let me just be honest with you. I don't even remember what I was saying. I was saying something about how pretty the graphics are and how much I hate it when people miss and get terrible level ups, and I hate randomness. Ugh. Alright, so this guy's got just a basic iron axe. What's his name? A thug who knows a secret about Lynn's past. You know, I don't know if I've ever really looked at the boss portraits before. This will be new for me. This will be interesting. I'll get to see a little bit of stuff that I haven't seen before. Alright, so I think I'm going to hit this guy with... No, I'm not going to. So you get 2 shot. I'm going to set Sane down here, move Lynn up, and use a vulnerary. And then I'm going to wait. Hopefully, Sane can hit this guy and just get a little bit of experience.
Accursed knights, always tampering in others' affairs.
Oof. That's a lot of damage. Sorry, that's stupid flex tape jokes. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Alright, so I'm gonna move Sane out of the way. I'm not gonna heal him. However, I am going to... Let's see, how much damage does Lynn deal to this guy? She deals 12. Yeah, so all I gotta do is hit him once with Kent. He's got 100% accuracy. Awesome. So I'm gonna hit him once with Kent, then hit him once with Lynn, and we will be all set. I watched a really good YouTube video today by another YouTuber, Beyond Polygons, where he talks about why the animations in this game are so good and why they're so much better than some of the later ones. And one of the things he talks about is the animation smearing. So when you watch the animations that happen, just watch out for that smearing effect, because it really gives it that extra oomph that it really needs.
Blast, there was only supposed to be a lone guile.
Fuck you, Zugu. Come on, man. I don't even know who you are. Who's got a name like Zugu? Lynn. Oh, gosh. She's just got to get 1 point of strength. If she gets 1 point of strength, that brings it up to 5, and that's like half of 10, so we're pretty much already there, honestly. That's the last of them. Fantastic work, McDaniel. These are pretty cool. I like these. I like that, you know, it's on the Game Boy Advance. I mean, you're not really going to expect that they're going to have these really cool CGs for all these story scenes. I mean, they're not going to do cutscenes. There's only one game that I played on the Game Boy Advance that had cutscenes, and that's Chain of Memories. I'm still impressed that they were able to get PS2 graphics looking halfway decent on a Game Boy Advance. That's seriously impressive. And now for these Knights of Lycia. You were going to share your story with me? Yes. We have ventured from Kalen in Lycia in search of someone. Lycia? That's the country beyond the mountains in the southwest, isn't it? Correct. We've come as messengers to the Lady Madeline, who eloped with a nomad some 19 years ago. Madeline? Our lord the Marquis of Kalen's only daughter. He was heartbroken his own daughter would abandon him so. Eventually the Marquis simply declared that he had no daughter. And then this year we received a letter from Lady Madeline. It said that she, her husband, and their daughter were living happily on the Cirque Plains. The Marquis was ecstatic to learn he had a granddaughter of 18 years. I remember the smile on his face when he announced that he'd suddenly become a grandfather. The granddaughter's name is Lindis. This was also the name of the Marquis's wife, who passed away at an early age. Lindis. That she should bear this name thawed the Marquis's heart. Now his only wish is to meet his daughter's family at least once. This is why we're here. For you, sweet cheeks. We didn't know that Lady Madeline died a few days after sending a letter. We only learned this shortly after we arrived here in Bulgar. But we also learned all was not lost. Her daughter yet lives. We heard that she was living alone, on the plains. I knew it immediately. You are the Lady Lindis. Why would you think that? Your resemblance to your departed mother is remarkable. What? Did you know my mother? I'm sorry to say I never met her directly, but I saw her portraits in Castle Kalen. To the rest of my tribe, I was always Lynn. But when I was with my parents, when it was just the three of us, I was Lindis. It's all so strange. I was all alone in the world, and now I have a grandfather. Lindis. I never thought I would hear that name again. Wait, that bandit. He called me Lindis too. What? How could he have? He was a henchman of Lord Lundgren, wasn't he? A.K.A. Claudius. For any of those people out there who read Shakespeare. It's definitely like a bit of a Hamlet vibe. Lord Lundgren and Lindis' grandfather, and Lynn is Hamlet, and these two are Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and Eliwood is Ophelia, and he goes crazy and drowns himself in a river, and oh, shoot, I guess I'm spoiling a little bit of the game there. Lundgren? Who's that? He's the Marquis's younger brother. Everyone assumed the Lady Madeline was gone forever. This made Lord Lundgren heir to the Marquis's title. To be blunt, my lady, your existence is an obstacle to your granduncle's ambitions. But I have no interest in inheriting any title. Unfortunately, your granduncle is not the sort of man to believe that. I believe the attempts on your life will persist. What should I do? Accompany us to Kalen. Continuing on this way is dangerous. I feel I have little choice. I will go with you. What about me? Do I got a say in the matter? Well, I guess so. Never mind. McDaniel, I'm sorry. This changes everything. What will you do, McDaniel? I didn't say that. I just want to make sure everybody understands. You heard me. You all heard me. I didn't say that. You want me to decide? Stop putting words in my mouth, Lindis. Come on. Of course, your companionship would do much to ease my journey, but it's going to be so dangerous. You'll come? Are you sure? Thank you. Let me ask once again for your friendship and your aid. Alright, just because he asked so nicely, and you looked at me with that forward-facing sprite, okay, I'll accept it. Alright, well, I think, I was actually hoping to get through at least to the end of Chapter 2 today, but that took me a lot longer than I was anticipating. I think it's because I suck, and I'm terrible, but I'm also decent, but not really that decent. So I think that's where I'm going to end it off for today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Hopefully, this is going up on a Monday. If it's not, I guess I'll just change this in post. But if it is going up on a Monday, then that means that the next episode should be coming out on Wednesday. And then the next episode after that should be coming out on Friday. I'm going to try to keep it up to a 3 times a week schedule. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I don't know what time it'll be each day. Probably sometime later in the evening. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I literally appreciate anybody who watches this video. It means a lot to me. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And I'll see you next time. Over the hedge. That's stupid. I gotta find some sort of cool outro. Maybe it'll just end with me rambling and then it kind of trails off into some music or something. I don't frickin' know. I just really like this game, and I rambled and talked a little bit too much. But it's okay, because that's me, and me is what you should really see, and that's... I should probably just stop talking now. Subscribe. Leave like a leave. YouTube.com/master sir. Yep. All right.